Hey everybody, it's Safi and Marco Dish Out on Movies, the only movie review show on YouTube to review movies in terms of food. And it's just Marco here once again. I am here to review the first movie of 2022, The 355. Wow. What a movie to start the year off on. I'm so glad I watched this movie. So this, you look at the poster, you already know what this movie's going to be. You watch the trailer, you don't even have to watch the trailer because it and the problem that's the funny thing about people is that they assume that because you don't like or because you have a cautious feeling towards like all female films, these films where they're dominating over the men. They think that it's just because of that. It's not because of the story, the plot. Uh, I knew what this movie was gonna be because all the movies like that nowadays, they all have to have the same shit in them. They all have to have the same trademarks that they're the reason why the movies are bad in the first place. Not because of the fact that they're females, but the fact that the movie's bad to begin with. When you see a movie, especially a spy movie or an action movie, any of these action movies where you have these little skinny women beating up on 200-pound men, it's just laughable. It's just it's really funny to watch. Honestly, it's kind of like a like you're watching it and you can just feel that this is fake. It's all an illusion. It's all fantasy. You're not put in the position of the film. You're not the film doesn't pull you in. You're just sitting there wondering like, why am I watching this crap with these skinny women who, they're supposed to be female spies, but they're not really spies at all. They're really just agents, or they're secret agents. They're not really spies, and we see that a lot nowadays too. And that's another problem, is that another trademark of movies nowadays that tend to have a more female dominated film, the problem with them is that all the sexuality is pulled out of them. And so there in the scene there's the sex scene at the beginning. Well, it's not really a sex scene, it's a lead into a sex scene, and she basically like unbuttons her shirt and then they kiss and the camera pulls away. And that's just an example of like they take all the sexuality out of these movies because we have now entered this age where we have to cover everything up and we have to be ashamed of everything, like it's the 1950s again, except it's like a reverse 1950s where the females are the ones who are making the awful movies where and that's another issue is that why can't we just have a good female spy movie? Like, seriously? You couldn't even make this right, Hollywood? Like, you couldn't make the easiest type of film. I mean, Charlie's Angels, the early 2000s one. That's one of my favorite movies, favorite action movies, favorite comedies. It's such a fantastic film. It is a little juvenile at some points, but that's the fun of it. It's a juvenile, fun female spy film, and I just don't understand why they can't make that nowadays. Like, just because we're in 2022 means we have to watch this dull, miserable, grueling experience where it feels like the all the females leading the movie, it feels like they're they're literally just doing it as a favor to a friend. That's what this movie really felt like. It felt like one of the actresses, one of the stars, it felt like she wanted to make a spy movie, and she doesn't really know the genre that well. And so she cast all of her friends and she wrote it and had fun, and she wanted to direct it because she's never directed anything before. And then they made this crap little movie, and but it's not. That's the embarrassing part. Like if this was just like a fun thing that one of the main stars made because they wanted to have fun and make something different, then I would have excused it and said, you know what, they have fun making this bad movie with. Well, we'll get into this movie because it's really. You could really feel the 2 hours. That's for damn sure. This movie did not. It was not a good. It didn't go at a good speed. That's for damn sure. And that's another thing is that with spy movies, you want them to be quick paced. You want them to be intense. You want them to, at the same time, have fun. This movie is not fun and it's slow. It's slow because the plot is really just a typical fill in the blank bad plot, but they try to slow it down more by having all of these really bad character moments with these female characters. And I'm saying female characters because I can't even remember their names. Like, I just saw the movie, I can't remember any of their names. I can't even remember any of the guys' names. Let's see. There's that guy. There's that guy. There's that. Like, I'm serious. Like, I can't remember. I can't remember these characters' names. These main characters. I'm shaking my head in disappointment at this movie. And then as the movie goes on, it didn't start out with any agendas really. It just started out as a boring, dull movie that it's exactly what I expected. And it's sad because if this was good, then I would have been really happy about it. You have these really talented actresses for the most part, and you have a decent budget, I guess. That's another thing, is this movie, to me, was like a bad TV pilot or something. Like if they were making a pilot for CBS or another mainstream TV network, this is the type of pilot episode that we would see. That's what this reminded me of as well. But as the movie went on, one of the main things that this movie tried to do, and it failed at doing, was they liked to have these surprising character deaths. And that's not giving anything away. You can still watch that, because I'm not saying who dies. It could be anyone. Anyone. And they try to do that throughout the whole movie. And they think they're really clever about it, too. They have these moments, the whole movie is very contrived and it's just so by the numbers. And another issue is, but the character deaths, they don't work, because that's going to lead into another issue. The characters in this movie, you weren't invested in them at all. I didn't care about any single one of them. I don't care that they're hot. Who cares? Like, I don't think that the Charlie's Angels in the 2000s movie are that hot, but I was more invested in them than I was in these women. So the movie starts out too, and you have these characters, and you're not given anything to invest in them at all. Like the main character, played by Jessica Chastain, it starts off and she's in like a sparring match, and she's married to Sebastian Stan, and that's about it. Like, that's all we get. You can't feel anything. It's so blank and emotionless and empty and ugh. This was a red box rental if I've ever seen one. This movie, wow, really unimpressive. The action was not good. I don't think any action scene was that good at all. The villains or villain, I guess I can't remember who's the main villain. That's not a good thing, guys. That's not a good thing. Who's the main villain in the movie? That's not a good sign when you watch a movie and you can't even tell who the main villain is. And then as the movie went on, it had lots of agendas in it too. And I thought, oh, whenever I see an agenda in a movie, I'm not. I used to get really pissed off. Like the first agenda I ever saw in a film or TV show was when I was a little kid. When I was a little kid, I was watching the Buffy TV series, and I saw the episodes where Oz left, and then they turned Willow lesbian. That pissed me off so much. I could tell, even as a kid, I could tell that that was artificial, that was inserted in there, like, okay, let's make Willow a lesbian. I could tell. Like, that's how bad agendas are. They completely take out of the story, and they ruin everything around the story because it's just so distracting that, like, all of a sudden, I mean, this is a character who was built up for seasons. She had a huge crush on Xander, and then she gets with Oz, and then all of a sudden in season 4 she's a lesbian. It's like, what the fuck? But anyways, I don't get angry anymore. Like when I was a kid and I saw that, I got so pissed off. I would refuse to watch the season. I would refuse to watch those episodes. Like I got really mad. And I didn't even know why. I just thought this is so fake and phony and lame. And this movie is lame too. That's another thing. Like this movie thinks it's really cool and hip. It's this young, fast-moving spy thriller. This movie is lame. This is like a toy that you get at Walmart and then you play with it for 1 second and it breaks. That's this movie. This is really, it's really bad. But nowadays, whenever I see agendas, unless it's like blatantly evil, an evil type of thing where it's a message saying that all of this certain type of people should be killed, something like that, which we do see nowadays from people who like to spread their agendas. Like we saw in the American Horror Story season 10 mid-season finale. But nowadays, whenever I see agendas, I always just go, I just do this long sigh because it means that I have to come on here and for the millionth time say agenda, 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 agenda. And I'm so sick of it. Like, why can't we just make good movies and not insert these stupid ass agendas into things? If these female spies, quote unquote, because they're not spies at all, if these females were so badass and so cool, you wouldn't need to have agendas in there to boost them up. You wouldn't need to spend the entire movie going, men suck. There's this part at the beginning where Jessica Chastain is talking to Sebastian Stan, and he says like something about this guy wanted to do something to give up something. I don't know. He was just saying something that a guy did, and then Jessica Chastain was like, ugh, what a guy. Like, what kind of shit is that? They do that throughout the whole movie. It gets worse and worse as it goes on, because as the movie goes on, all the females come together, they unite, like they're the Justice League. And to be honest, like Zack Snyder's Justice League is a masterpiece compared to this trash. So that should already tell you, for those of you who don't know, Zack Snyder's Justice League was my second worst movie of the year last year, and this movie is worse than that. So already I am watching a movie. The first movie of 2022 is a movie that is worse than the second movie of last year. That should tell you, oh, I am so excited for 2022 movies. Oh, I'm so excited. And once again, it's too bad because there are a couple of good things about this movie in spite of all of the shit and all of the agendas and the this is every time I see a movie like this too, I get a headache because I'm a creative myself, and so it just leads me to I have to like block myself from thinking, oh, how would I do that? I could just do all these different things, come up with just like a million different things that would have improved this movie, and I have to stop myself from doing that, which really pisses me off because I just think about, oh, like did they even put that much thought into this movie? It doesn't feel like it. It feels like they didn't care. Like they made this movie as a fun one-off thing. Ha 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 ha, let's have some fun together and make this stupid female spy movie that doesn't have any badassery or anything. I mean, this is lame. And what was I saying? I can't even remember anymore. I don't care. I mean, I'm already forgetting this whole movie as I'm speaking about it. Like, this movie is not going to stick with me. At the end of the year, it's going to be like with Whammon in the Window, where I go like, oh shit, I watched that movie. I watched the 355. And the title, I understand the title because they literally explain the meaning of the title at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert, I guess. They explain the title. But the title, it still doesn't go with this movie at all, honestly. It would have been more appropriate to just call this like the Whammon Avengers or the Whammon's Justice League or something like that. Uh, but okay, there were a few good things. That's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna talk about. I did like a couple of the main females. I liked their acting, kinda. If I could say, I liked it, kind of like not really that much, but I still would say like they weren't that bad. I thought that Lupita, uh, I thought that she was probably the best spy out of all of them. She was definitely the one who felt most like a real spy. And then Diane Kruger was pretty good, but she was mostly just a combat person. She really didn't have much of a spy feel to her. Jessica Chastain was terrible. I mean, she was really bad, and okay. That'll get into spoilers. Uh, and then with the Chinese woman, I thought she was fine, but spoiler. And you're not going to know anything from that. I promise. I'm not giving anything away. I'm just thinking about in terms of these people. They're terrible characters, and at the end of the movie, they almost like they're setting it up for a franchise type of thing, and it just made me roll my eyes to the back of my head. And what like that's another issue. Why does everything have to set up a franchise? If a movie's good, it'll get a franchise. Have you seen some of the older movies? Like some of the classics, like Jaws? Jaws didn't set up a sequel, and it still got like fucking 5 or 6. That's because it's a great movie. Whereas with this movie, you have this ending that's it's so like it's pounding you over the head with a hammer type of thing, pounding you with like, oh, are you excited for the 466 sequel? No. I'm not watching that shit, that's for damn sure. Okay, now I'm going to rate this movie in terms of food and spoil a little bit of it for shits and giggles, because let's be honest, nobody gives a fuck about this movie. I mean, I told a friend about this movie. I said, you know what I'm gonna do tonight? I'm gonna watch this movie, and it's about this and that. It's gonna be an all female spy movie. You know what Safi said? Safi said, ugh, and that's Safi, and she's a woman. So who is this movie catering to? Uh, I'm not. I was gonna go somewhere, but I'm not gonna go there. That's why this feels like a thing that a bunch of friends made together, is because this movie doesn't feel like it was really made for anybody. It doesn't understand the genre, it doesn't understand good filmmaking, and it doesn't understand how to make female spies. And because we never see accurate female spies nowadays. Nowadays, they just try to make the female spies like the male spies. And that's not how it works. You know, that's why there's a difference. You have female spies and you have male spies. The male spies do things like this way, and then the female spies do it differently. Like, there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's just a fact of life. Like, you have Black Widow in her solo movie, you know, all the sexuality is taken uh, out of her character because it's 2021. And it's like, if she was real, or you know, if you look at the comics, which is what she's based off of, supposedly, not really. You know, she has all the sexuality that she uses to kill opponents, to seduce opponents, and find out information. These characters don't really have that at all. In fact, there's one scene. Oh, okay, that's a spoiler. Okay, I would rate this movie. It gave me one particular feeling I could think of. You know, when you go to a hotel and you order room service late at night before it's about to close, or it's a busy night. That's another thing. And you want to have a dessert. You want to have a piece of cake, and you don't really get any cake in this movie. You get this little sad, flabby, uh, floppy, soggy piece of cake type thing, and it's so skinny that you put your fork into it, and it's it's a weird way that the fork goes into the cake to where it's like melting. It's really strange, and then you eat it, and it's like, oh, this is clearly it was it was purchased from some other place, and the hotel just took it out of the package and de-thawed it and then gave it to you. Like that's what this movie is. It's a sad piece of hotel room service cake, and it's not really much of a cake at all, if you know what I mean. Uh, and now let's get into the spoilers. They try to have all these surprising deaths throughout the whole film, which is probably the movie's biggest weakness overall, because the movie thinks that it's really clever that it's doing that, but we've seen that in movies before. It's nothing new to have surprising shock deaths in a movie. So near the beginning, they kill off, or they quote unquote kill off Sebastian Stan, and then they do the cliche ass thing where he comes back later on in the film as a villain. And so Jessica Chastain is mad because they were together and then he betrayed her. And it's like, that is such a cliche. Like, have you ever seen The Blacklist? They did that in The Blacklist season 1. You know, they do that all the time. They even did it in the great masterpiece Charlie's Angels movie, where the guy had sex with Drew Barrymore and then he betrayed her. Did the same fucking thing in that movie. So, but then they kill off Lapita's boyfriend, and they kill off the German guy who Diane Kruger likes. I think that was her boss. I can't remember. I couldn't really understand. See, I'm forgetting this movie. I'm forgetting this trash movie as this review goes on. This nearly 30-minute review about fucking the 355. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on, which there's not really much to touch on in this movie. Uh, the last thing I wanted to touch on is the ending. At the ending, they try to have this franchise potential scene where all the ladies confront Sebastian Stan and he pours himself a drink and puts ice in it, and he knows that she never takes ice. And then it turns out the ice has a special poison that'll put him to sleep, and then they're going to take him and imprison him in some undisclosed location. AKA, they probably can't afford to put him in the second movie because this movie's not going to make any money. And so they'll have to make like a $50,000 film, $50,000 spy film. But the poison was in the ice. And I was like, oh wow, I'm glad that I just watched Monk, because that was straight up taken from Monk season 8, the episode Happy Birthday, Mr. Monk. In that episode, the guy poisoned people by putting poison in the ice. So I was like, oh God. And that was another shitty thing. Is this movie, this shit movie, also reminded me of that shit final season of Monk. And whenever something reminds me of that final season of Monk, I get really pissed off. And you won't like me when I'm pissed off, because then I'll be even more. You won't be able to understand me at all. I'll have to like add my own subtitles like this movie. Anyways, this was a failure of a film. They need to stop with this thing where, women over men. And not just that, it's the fact that you put women in movies and then somehow the movie is more sexist than the older movies that you claim are sexist. Like this movie, the women spend the whole movie talking about the male characters, or they're talking about the MacGuffin, because this movie is all about this stupid MacGuffin. And just the whole movie, like, this is not an empowering movie. This is not a badass movie. It's lame. It's lame. It's like a little fizzle. It's like when you're at 4th of July and you're like, hey, what kind of fireworks do you have here, Mr. Johnson? And then Mr. Johnson says, well, son, I'm sorry, but all we have are snakes. And then you have a bunch of fucking little sad snakes for 4th of July. Like, ugh, that's this movie. Anyways, if you guys like this video, please like it and comment and tell me all about how sexist I am for calling out this trash movie. And then please subscribe to our channel if you want to see more honest reviews, because I'm going to be as honest as possible. And the more it pisses people off, the more I know that I'm doing something right. So goodbye, everybody. See you soon.